So a good question for this Tuesday talk is, how do we balance ourselves? And by balance, I mean, how do we stay upright throughout the day and not just falling all over the place with the things that we're doing? And our bodies are able to stay balanced by using information that it gets through different organs, and then interpreting that information and then providing for a result to our muscles that would allow us to be upright. Or if we were in a situation where we're becoming off balanced, that result would be a corrective result, so that we go from a situation where we're losing our balance to correct. And so what I want to talk about is, what are those things that feed into our brains, that information that tells us where we are and what's happening to us, so that we can stay balanced. And there's really three big systems that do that. The first is, and probably the easiest to understand, is what we see and how we see things. So our vision is one of those big things that, those are eyes, is one of those big things that provides our sensory information to our brain that goes into our brain. Brain acknowledges that information and then is able to make a determination from there going forward. That's one. Number two, a little harder to maybe process, but we have these little things inside of our inner ear system called our vestibular system. And there's a couple parts to that, but in short, the vestibular system is responsible for providing our brain information about our head position or head movement relative to gravity, or if I'm moving it from side to side or up and down. And so those organs inside of our inner ears are stimulated by changes in head movement or head position relative to gravity. And when those are stimulated, those go into certain parts of our brain, and certain parts of our brain stem stimulate cells inside the brain, and then those cells dictate orders to the appropriate structures from there. Lastly, the third and definitely one of the more important ones that provide information about us to stay balanced is our bodies and what we perceive from our body position or movement. And so all over our body, in our skin, our muscles, our joints, our ligaments, there are receptors. And those receptors send signals back up through our nerves and into our brain and into our cerebellum, which is the little brain here. And those receptors provide information to our brain about our body's movement or body's position. And so the really complex and complicated part about this whole thing is our brain has to figure out all three of those things together to make an appropriate response, either reflexively or consciously, to help keep us standing up. So it's happening right now to me as I'm standing here talking, and it's happening to you as you watch this video. So our brains are always working, and our sensory systems are always working to keep that process going.